A child was abandoned to his fate along with a letter. When people read it, they could not stop crying. Little Karim was crying next to a crowd of stones that he called mom. The people of that African village did not know him and thought he was a witch child. But when they found the letter that accompanied him, they all burst into tears. That Nigerian boy had appeared out of nowhere. He was crying and pretending to talk to his mother, but next to him there was only that pile of stones. He was in a desolate area, exactly at the entrance of the village. All the inhabitants passed by and looked at him with contempt. The child asked for food and water, but no one took pity on him. There was a piece of paper next to him pressed with a stone, but nobody paid any attention to it, neither to him nor the letter. The child did not seem to get tired of crying, and the people thought it was strange, but they went on their way anyway. Days went by, and the people who passed by that place looked at that tender child who hadn't eaten for days. Mystery surrounded Karim, and since no one had seen who had left him there and no one had seen anyone bring him there, no one knew what to do. As the days went by, people stared at him without knowing what to do, and some asked him, "Hey boy, what are you doing here?" And the boy answered, "I'm with my mommy." The people were thoughtful. They looked from one side to the other, but the boy was alone. There was no one else with him in that place. After seeing that he'd been there for days, many people thought that he had a mental problem and that he was lost. More people asked him again, "What are you doing there alone?" But the boy only answered, "I'm with my mommy." Seeing that he was alone and yet he assured that he was with his mother, the only thing that came to their minds was that he was a witch child. In that distant village, children who wander alone are considered witch children and are disowned by the people because they are superstitious and think that these lonely children are bad omens. Abandoned by their families, in the name of supposed evil powers, the witch children are starved, mistreated, tortured, and sexually exploited. Accused of witchcraft, the so-called Escalombo have become the outcasts of Nigerian society. This stigma of child witches is a recent phenomenon in the Niger Delta region, which suddenly erupted in 1990. Before that, old women were the main targets of witchcraft accusations. It is estimated that 15,000 children had been labeled as witches in Akawai, Pong, and Cross River states in the southeast. According to investigations, the documented cases included children and infants who were tortured in various cruel ways, and some were even buried alive. According to a UNICEF report released to advocate for this sad reality, it is the most vulnerable children with physical disabilities or illnesses such as epilepsy who are accused. Others are stigmatized as being withdrawn, lazy, or unruly, and unfortunately the authorities have little interest in such cases of lost children. So by considering him as Colombo, people began to create a bad reputation for the boy, to the point that some locals blamed him for the bad things that happened to them. This morning I got up very well, took a bath, and went to work in the neighboring town. But since I passed by where that Escalombo is, I got an irresistible headache. Then I fell, and finally I was even robbed by some thugs, all because the witch kid kept staring at me, said an elderly man. The owner of the hotel said that since the child appeared at the entrance of the village, tourists stopped arriving, so she asked them to get him out of there so he wouldn't cause any more misfortunes. There was practically a popular clamor to remove Karim from the site, but a sector of the population was incredulous and said that the child did not offend anyone by sitting there. Faced with so many rumors about the little boy, a group of children who were older than Karim threw stones at him, one of which hit him in the forehead, and he took refuge behind some bushes. The boy moved with difficulty as he was very weak due to lack of food. His skin was cracked and dried from lack of water. When the boys left, Karim came out of his hiding place and again sat in the same place. He was sadder than the previous days, for the blow had left him overwhelmed and he didn't know what to do. He cried angrily and shouted, "I'm only asking for food, I'm not hurting anyone. Is it too much to ask for charity?" At that moment, an old woman who was selling vegetables in a village market was passing by, and she was moved by seeing the child and hearing his cry. She had more empathy and approached him and could see that next to the child there was a letter under a stone, which read, "Please, some kind-hearted person who finds my son, take good care of him. He's a very brave child, he likes to play and laugh, he's a good boy. Please help us and I assure you that he will make you proud in the future. I can no longer take care of him. It was not my decision to abandon him, and although I know I will never see his little face again, I will always carry him in my heart." At the end of the letter, there was a name, Naya. As she read that paper, the old woman was moved by the child. She was very angry with a heartless mother who had abandoned him there, and she was willing to support him in some way. She took out of the small sack she was carrying a bottle of water and a fresh fruit and gave them to him. The boy ate desperately and kept saying thank you. The lady promised to come by later and bring him some warm food and even a dessert. Karim's eyes lit up and he immediately hugged the lady, who kissed him on the forehead. The old lady went on her way and spent the whole morning thinking about what she should do with the little boy. So when she had already finished selling, she went to buy him clothes and the food she had promised him, not forgetting the dessert. She left a friend in charge of her little stretch and went to feed the little one. Karim was happy to be able to eat and again thanked the old woman, who told him that his life was going to change very soon. The little boy smiled and took her hand. Some of the onlookers who saw the lady with a little boy started to say that she was cursed for being with a witch boy, but the old woman told them that they were ignorant and that the boy was not a witch, but that he had been abandoned by his mother because she couldn't take care of him. When they all heard that, they kept silent, and at that moment they asked her how she knew that. She took out the letter for them to read. Some were moved to tears and went back with her to where Karim was. They asked him why his mother could not take care of him, and he told them that she was suffering from HIV and had fallen asleep on that road. The people paid attention to the tumult of stones and saw that it said Naya. Everyone knew that it was the woman's grave, and the old woman took the little child and said, "Little angel, now I will be your mother. You will come with me. Your mommy can no longer be with you." The child cried, but amazingly he understood. He took the old lady's hand and was about to leave with her when he returned for a few moments to the place where he had been and said, "Bye, mommy, I love you." The lady took the boy with her and everyone present decided they were going to support her. She took him to her small business in the market and taught him how to sell. Many of those who accused him of being a witch brought him clothes and shoes. Others even apologized to him and acknowledged that if the old woman had not come forward, he would most likely have lost his life for lack of food. Karim grew up working in the market and was so skilled that he grew the business of his elderly mother, who lived happily by his side. When it was difficult for her to move, he would go to the stall alone, and from selling fruits and vegetables, he expanded the business to sell clothes and fine fabrics. That boy who had been despised became a good man who took care of the old woman who took him in until the last day of her life. In addition, he never forgot Naya and always visited the grave where she rested, at the entrance of that village. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up and consider sharing it with someone who may find it interesting. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.